Welcome everybody to Speaker Co-working, sponsored by SpeakerHUB. This is the Monday, April 7th edition. I'm Ron Story. I am the head of membership and product at SpeakerHUB. And I'm joined, as always, with by Angela Lewis, the head of operations at SpeakerHUB, along with Maria, who's here today, who's our head of design, and a bunch of our clients who decided to join in to get help about how they can use SpeakerHUB and other stages, other platforms in order to get booked on more stages to share their message and to share that message profitably. Over the last 9 months or so, we've focused on adding outbound pitching to our speaker repertoire. In the past, most speakers get booked by just waiting and hoping that someone will book them, but we chose to take a proactive approach here at SpeakerHUB. So, so in this call, basically what we do, we answer questions, we give advice, we do a little bit of teaching, and we do some support to make sure that all of our tools are working properly for all of our members. So good to see everybody here. Good to see everybody that's doing well. Any updates, any wins over the weekend or throughout the week so far?
Yeah, man, it was super weird. Yesterday, I get a direct cell phone message from one of my clients I've been working with, this owner of this mortgage company out of San Diego. Been building their infrastructure for their software for about 8 years now, and he just called me and like, "Yo, Diggs, what the F?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" He was like, "Man, I was just messing around on YouTube and seeing your TEDx talk, man. I mean, dude, what is this?" And I was like, "Well, it's just my little side project that I'm working on." He didn't really know nothing about it. He was like, "Bro, I'm a big mind mapper, dude. You got to come talk to the team on our sales meeting next week." So I was like, "All right, man." So it's kind of cool. I get a chance to present to all of these guys that don't know what I do. And yeah, it's kind of cool. I'm pretty sure it's going to go well. But that was kind of a interesting win.
Okay, no, I'm reading the chat. I'm like, problem with SpeakerHUB Pro. I don't know what that is. Um, and you know what she's talking about?
No. I got two emails that tagged me that came in as problem with Speaker Pro on in my Gmail. I was going to share it with you because I didn't know if anybody else got it. I just found it very curious. I'll be glad to pull it up and show you on my screen.
Oh yeah. If you can share it with me, that would be great.
Okay, let me see if I can get it real quick.
Okay, yeah, that'll be great because I want to see what that is. John, high five on that. That's a big deal. John been walking around with all of his clients like this. I don't want to let them know who I am. Gotta hide. Come on, man. What you hide all your stuff for, man?
I'm
Yeah.
not hiding it. It was just, that's just what I
Okay.
do for my day job, and I didn't want to conflict when I'm not available. They thinking I'm moonlighting and all that stuff. So
Well,
I've been,
well let me show you something. I'm gonna show you something, right? I'm gonna show you something. You ever heard of this guy?
yep.
Right? What does he do?
He does a few things. UFC host, got a huge podcast,
He's a comedian first.
comedian. Yep.
He was a TV host with Fear Factor,
Yep.
right? He's a UFC commentator,
Mm-hmm.
got a podcast, owns a vitamin company. So I heard this explanation, which I thought was very interesting on personal brand. And what they said was that most people's thoughts on personal brand is what's holding them back. And they said, your personal brand, what we usually want to show to most people is one side of us, right? So we just keep shining that same light on everybody, right? So if they know me as Ron from SpeakerHUB, you say, who's Ron? Oh, he's the guy from SpeakerHUB, right? But if I show that I have a daughter and then I talk about me living outside of the country and then I buy businesses, and I've lived in 6 other countries, and I can kind of build this. I love sports. I can build this kind of prism of who I am that isn't so laser focused that it burns people when they come into contact with. You ever met some people? Every time you talk to them, it's like, dude, do you do anything else besides talk about this one thing, right? And it becomes overbearing because you know that there's more to them, but they're not giving you the more to them to like, right? So as we think about our personal brands, I think that there is a way for people to know the one thing you want to be known for, but also a way for you to round it out and give them the full prism view. Where my daughter may only see dad, and she sees me through two flecks of the prism, right? But Ange knows me as a friend, a coworker, a dad, a guy who likes speaking. I like to argue with people. Like all these people have, like Ange has a whole different spectrum of me. Or AJ knows me very well, right? So, but it's those other things that separate you from everybody else. Does that make sense? So, your I think it's a mistake to believe that people will be offended because we help other people in a different way than which we help them. Let me say it again. I think it's a mistake for us to believe that other people will be offended that we choose to use our other talents to help other people in a different way than what we help them. Why would they be offended by that? Right? Unless you're doing something illegal, this little light of mine, it wasn't a spotlight. Maybe it was a prism to show all these other spectrums of who we are that rounds us off as people. Does that make sense? So don't be afraid to let people know that, yo, I speak, and I got a course, and I have a book, and I do workshops, and I like basketball, and I like going to steakhouses, and I like to do impromptu trips, right? One of the weird things about me, I never buy tickets earlier than 24 hours before I'm flying. My mama think I'm crazy, but I buy my ticket when I'm going. I'm going. I ain't decide 3 months ahead of time. I'm going tomorrow, so I'm buying a ticket today, right? Well, it's gonna cost you an extra $200. Yep. You know it's gonna cost me more if I plan it 2 weeks from now and I can't go tomorrow. Now I lost the whole daggone ticket anyway, right? So moral of the story is be willing to share your little quirks, because it's those little quirks that make you who you are and separate you. That builds brand. It's more of a prism than a spotlight. But high five, John. Any other wins? Any other wins? Any other? No? Okay. Um, so last week we came up with a list of topics that you all wanted to cover. Sarah, go ahead. Okay.
Hello? Yeah, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I was moving to another area. Yeah, so I had the on stage opportunity to speak at Richmond, which is like an hour and a half away from where I live. But then the event planner called me and she said, someone canceled in your area if you want to move your talk back to DC area. So I'm speaking on April 26th on stage on DC instead of Richmond. And it's the One Woman. It's a Fearless Women Summit. And I'm excited about that.
No, you should be. High five.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. High five, high 10. Yeah, thank you.
Way to go. Way to go. So
Yeah,
here's what we're going to talk about today, guys. Any other wins before we get into the topic? Because I think the topic today is really, really, really important. And we talk about how do you capitalize by generating leads and having a strong call to action, and having people reach out to you to buy your services. But have we really mapped out the entire roadmap, right? So about 3 months ago, I talked about how do you map out your entire client journey. Now, if you understand that your client won't ride the entire journey with you, you save yourself a lot of time and energy. So a lot of times our clients, like, let me give you a great example. Most people become speakers because something happened. They got an epiphany, and they either get an epiphany or a breakthrough. Let me say it that way. That's probably a better way to say it. They get an epiphany. Oh man, I'm good at doing this thing and I want to share my perspective, right? Or they get a breakthrough. I went through this thing. This is how I got over it. I want to share with people how I got over it. Does that make sense? So it's usually, if we understand that there's an epiphany or a breakthrough, we have to decide and we have to map out where they're starting from and where they're trying to go. Does that make sense? Now, let me give you a great example. So when someone becomes a speaker, they have an epiphany or a breakthrough. And then what do? They usually go take a course, or they get on stage, or they tell their testimony at church. They start sharing the story and they start teaching somebody what they learned, right? And then they say, man, they clapped when I told this story. Maybe I should tell it more, right? And then they tell it a little bit more and they realize that, okay, this isn't that bad. They say, well, I probably should get a professional because I heard this person speak and they're better than me. I need to get a coach that'll help me with writing my speech, right? So then they go get a coach, right? And we can keep going step by step by step by step until they're able to do speaking full time because of the money that they're making from their business or from speaking fees. Let's say that that's point Z. SpeakerHUB can't help with all of those effectively. We can help with some of them, but if I try to do all of them, there's going to be somebody better than me at each step of the way because I'm not very focused on the thing that I can be a master at. Does that make sense? So one of the mistakes that new entrepreneurs make is they try to solve all the problems. And you can't solve all the problems, right? So you got to find which part of that journey are you going to be their guide on. I think my microphone is, I got it. Let me go to is this better? The audio better now? Right? So which part of the journey are you going to be their guide on? Because you can't guide them the whole way, right? But why is it important to map out that entire thing? Because whatever you're offering on the podcast or as a way for them to follow up with you after your speech, it's the next step. Does that make sense? So it's like, okay, I'm going to give them the next step. And then when they meet with me for the next step, I may sell them the next step after that. Let me give you a great example. I talk about how speakers should use speaking to grow a business, not just get paid up front, but you should get paid after you give the speech also. My first talk may be about that, and that may be the epiphany. Oh man, this is great. I want to learn more about this, right? So then I show them why we do it and why it's important and how they can build different things, using their business, build their business using speaking. You can get on podcasts, you can do speaking gigs, you can Google lists, you can do all of that stuff. Well, now that I've shown them they can do it without me, what am I going to sell them? The easy button, right? So a lot of times what we're selling, it's hard for people to get it because they don't understand. It's hard for them to value it because they don't understand the hard way, right? How many of y'all ever made a cake from scratch? Actually, how many of y'all ever made biscuits from scratch? Let's do that, right? I've tried it. I made crackers. I made communion crackers. They didn't rise. Them joints still sleep, right? They look like snickerdoodle cookies. They was this flat, right? You don't appreciate Pillsbury, the little biscuits in a roll, until you tried to make biscuits on your own, right? You don't appreciate the Angel Mama pancake mix that just adds water until you try to do the one where you got to add the water, the oil, the eggs, and all. You're like, dude, I gotta go buy all this stuff just to make pancakes. I should have just made my own pancakes. So a lot of times our customers don't appreciate the value that we bring with the solutions that we bring to the table until they've seen the hard way. A person doesn't appreciate Jadika's touch here to make your elbow stop hurting until they've taken Tylenol and had the side effects. When you've taken the medicine and had the side effects, you looking for something that don't make you dizzy. Is that making sense? So let's talk about what our lead magnets or call to actions are when we go on these podcasts or when we're doing these speaking gigs. Because if we don't have them, if we haven't thought through them and thought about what step in our process it's solving, is it really solving a problem? And is it actually leading to them buying from you? Does that make sense? So I'm not going to volunteer anybody because I don't want to put nobody on the spot. But does anyone on here now have a lead magnet or a download or something that they would give to somebody if they went on a podcast today? Not tomorrow, but today. Okay, so let's go through that. Let's do a few of them. Valencia, let's talk about yours.
Okay.
I saw Valencia, Bonnie, Jadika, and John. We're gonna go to those four.
Okay. So mine it's called the Clarity Breakthrough Bundle.
Show it.
Oh, show it. Oh, wait, I have to go in and get it.
Yeah, this part of it.
You want me to just put the link?
No, show it. Show your screen.
Oh God. Okay, hold on. You might want to call.
See, this is why we do this.
You
We say we ready until we ready. Oh yeah, I got it. Well, show it to me. I ain't got it yet. Well, come on now.
All right, I'm gonna get it. I got it.
All right. So does anyone have their lead magnet available in the next 5 seconds while she's looking for hers? John, you want to go ahead and share yours? Unmute.
In a minute.
Yeah, I don't know what screen. Am I sharing a screen yet?
Not yet.
Here's one of them that I use, which is my 9-step roadmap
Okay.
for my IM system.
Can you pull that up or make it larger because it's showing a bunch of your other stuff. I don't want to run the risk of having other files, any of your other files showing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
There you go. Cool.
Here you
I
go.
just want to isolate it. Cool.
Yeah,
So-
it's just basically on all my podcasts, my intention is to talk about the importance of people using my IM system for self-discovery, self-actualization, self-realization, just clarity on who they are so they can get clear on, what their life is about before they goal set. That's my intention on every podcast, and I back lead, if you will, all of my hosts to get them to want to know more about my IM system. And this is just a lead magnet that they can immediately download if they choose to. But primarily, I'm interested in selling my mini course. My IM mini course is really my go-to product.
Okay. All right. So where are they before this?
Where's who?
Where's the person in
Well,
relation to where they're trying to go before they get this?
maybe lost, kind of confused, kind of lacking passion, lacking focus, lacking direction in their life. My ideal client are those that are kind of bored with life, that may be empty nesters, maybe new divorcees, or people that are not passionate about anything, but just trying to find some meaning and some purpose in their lives.
Okay. And once they hear you and they download this, where will they be afterwards?
They will be in a better direction on the steps they can take to resolve that challenge.
Okay.
And this
And how
right here is just a roadmap to kind of give them the process on what they can do and what I'm offering to get them to the bottom of full self-actualization, my system, if you will.
So after they have this, why do they need you?
Because this is just the roadmap to get there, and they will need I guess, my personal guidance to actually go through the roadmap.
Okay, right? And how can they try you out? What problem is this causing?
It's causing or solving?
Causing.
Um, what problem is this causing for them?
Mhm.
Well, that they have a place to go, but they don't know how to get there.
Okay, right. So let me give you an example. This is good. This is really good. And then I'm going to show you an example. Then I'm going to give you a little bit of feedback.
Okay.
Right. So imagine with SpeakerHUB, what does every speaker want?
To
Leads.
get paid. Yeah.
Yeah.
They want leads. I need leads to speaking gigs, right? So if I give them a spreadsheet with a bunch of emails on it to speaking gigs, what problem did I cause? What'd you say, Jadika? We can't hear you.
Confusion.
Yeah, in some ways, right? But that's what they wanted. They said they wanted leads. So what's the next thing? The next thing that they need once they have the leads is an easy way to search through them, right? Or they may say they want more of them. Or what they may say is, oh, well, I need a way to be able to go through it and send to them,
Mhm.
right? I got to go and do all these things. You see how me giving away a list of 100 conferences easily sells SpeakerHUB Pro? Because when they go download that, you know what I want to tell them? You know what you could do? I'm going to have a video right there saying, you can upload these in the SpeakerHUB Pro. Here's a 14-day trial for you to be able to upload the leads. And while you're in there, guess what else we got? We got 3 million podcast leads. We got another 44,000 conferences. We got another 200. You see how it causes a problem to where they're like, okay, I got the leads, but what do I do next? Right? So I gave them the solution. It was just a hard solution. It wasn't the easy one. It was the hard one. Now, I'll tell you why. Why did I have to start doing that? Because when we would give them access to SpeakerHUB Pro first, they didn't understand the problem we were solving until they had to deal with that daggone leads list by themselves. All of our people who buy lifetime accounts right away, you know what they say? I was already doing this before I met you. I was already Googling speaking gigs. I was already putting together spreadsheets on my own. I know how hard that already is. So they already know the hard way. But some people don't. And we sometimes are afraid to give them the hard way. Give them the hard way so they can really experience it and then bring them in. Does that make sense? Let me give you a great example. On a flight, we have a thing called what? First class, right? And then behind first class, what they got? With a little bit more leg room, you get business class, right? You're a little longer, you get business class. And then they got regular seats. Now, on the trains invented first class, second class, and third class seating. Did you all know that?
But
Yep. The trains invented it. And I'm going to show you this. I'm going to show you an example of this. I'm going to show you this example. So the trains actually invented the first class, second class, third class, right? And look at what they did. So they were having trouble selling first class seats, right? Because nobody wanted to ride on the, it's like, dude, it's first class. It's the 1800s. I don't need to be comfortable. I need to just get there, right? Just like we say, like, I'm buying a flight. I never buy first class. They can upgrade me, but I ain't buying it. Let me just be real. I'm short enough. My legs ain't never touched the seat in the back. Every seat is business class for me. I'm 5'6". This easy, right? All I need is a window, right?
And a car
But what did
seat.
the trains do? Oh, John, what'd you say? John legs don't even touch the floor on the plane.
I said, don't forget about your car seat.
Right? So here's what happened. What did the trains do to solve this problem? I got to roll through this. So what the trains did in order to get people to buy first and second class seats, they took the roof off the third class. They
Oh,
introduced they said, oh, you think it's sweet. Let me introduce you to the problem. Right? But if they didn't do this, people wouldn't have bought these. No, this in the mountains. You know how cold it is at night if it rains. But people, they just happy to go across. Now, I think this photo here is just a demonstration of the bridge working. Right? This is just to demonstrate that they're testing out this new bridge for the first time. But they actually sold, look at that, Transcontinental removed, right? The railroad solved two problems. If you're cold-hearted capitalist, then you might realize the solution your product solves can be separated. To get to California without dying, you better get one of these seats inside. Now, am I telling you to do that? No, but what I'm saying is a lot of your clients, their first introduction to your product can't come before their introduction to the hard way. Let me tell you what we found as I found as a trend. People tried out SpeakerHUB Pro when we first introduced it in July, right? And they said, oh, no, I don't really think it's for me. And I said, cool, no problem. They said, man, it costs too much. Cool, no problem. We'll be here when you come back. Guess what they doing now? They coming back. I see them in the applications. They reapplying because they can't go back in no more. We stopped their accounts. So they got to reapply. And they like, yeah, yeah, what happened? It's cold with the roof off, ain't it? It's cold Googling. It's cold out there Googling for speaking gigs and making them spreadsheets. It was a lot easier to give me what I asked for us to give you access to all 50,000 that we got. Does that make sense? So how many of you all are introducing something to the market that solves a problem that they haven't felt the pain of yet? Janika, go ahead, raise your hand. Let's talk about it.
For one thing, people they don't really understand the problem of pain and how pain affects you mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and even financially. They don't even have that kind of understanding. Pain is just, my body's hurting and I'll go do something to relieve it. But with that comes a whole lot of different problems that they don't relate to.
Yep. No, I 100% agree. But Janika, you can't just walk around hitting people in the back with a bat to introduce them. Hey,
That's
let me show you what pain feels like. She's just whacking people with a stick. You can't do that. So
that's not good for business.
Well, I mean, it might be good for business. Let me show you what this person did. This is funny. Was this you, Janika? Let me pull it up first. I think this may have been Janika that did this. This was Janika. Let me show you what this person did. Let me share my screen. Somebody on the side of the house, you see these? They painted all of these to look like soccer balls. I'm gonna show you, hold on. These are the things that stop you from running your car over. And some idiot done painted it to look like a soccer ball and people kicking them, breaking their ankles. Look, they done painted all of them to look like soccer balls. You know how many people probably drunk done kick this and then roll their behind down this hill? Right? Is this in DC? Right? So I used to always say that I think that the cheese grater was invented by Band-Aid. Because why the heck, like, it has to be, like, they had to create the problem. We're going to sell more of these. Let's get them a cheese grater where they can slice in lines their whole finger knuckle off, right? So let's go back to John and you'll see what I mean, John, right? Sometimes you can introduce them to the pain of what or the value of what you do just by helping them solve one of 9 problems. Because if you put 9 steps in front of me, it's like, okay, I feel like I've made progress because I know the 9 steps. But if you can isolate that to this is the one thing we will solve for you right now, it opens up for you to sell them the other 8. Does that make sense, John? So can you bring your 9 steps back up?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right. So embrace the I am mind map, right? Discover
How the mind map power clarifies and clarity and purpose in your life.
Okay. Right. So is there a process to do that?
Yeah, that's which is my either my book or my mini course.
Okay. But for that one section, what can they do and get a result right away?
Contact me for a discovery call.
Okay. All right. So let me give you the psychology of lead mag of I want to give you the psychology of a lead magnet though. You wanted to solve the problem right away. But it ain't solving all the problems. It's just solving that one. They want leads. Cool. I'll give you. This lady gave me a list of. She said get a list of 700 conferences happening in 2025. I went to the page and gave me a list of 700 conferences. He didn't give me the email address of the contact person. Right. So I had my 700 conferences, the names of them. But if I wanted the email address and the contact person, she asked me for $27. You see how she gave me what she offered. I went there, but it didn't fully solve the problem. I could go do the hard way. I got the 700 conferences. Now I can go Google Johnson and Johnson conference for this, the Valencia Dancela conference for this, the Jadika Reflexology conference, right? But I got to go Google them all. She said, "Hey, look, here's the hard way. I helped you. Here's the easy button." Does that make sense? So when someone signs up for, when you saw I was offering on the one podcast um, a trial of SpeakerHUB, I didn't give them a trial of everything. I gave them a trial of the podcast with 25 pitches. They couldn't upload their own leads. You know, their profile didn't show up in the experts tab. It's not fair for me to give them for free what you all pay for. They couldn't. I don't want them pitching conferences on a trial. They ain't gonna find out whether they got booked or not anyway. Does that make sense? But you see how they get to try out the software at least, right? Okay. You see how they got to try out the software at least. Edge, can you give me 2 seconds? I got an emergency. I need to step away for 2 minutes, okay?
Sure, of
All right.
course.
Thank you.
Of course. You're welcome. So we gave them a trial. That's what Ron was saying. We gave them a trial of part of some of the functionality, but not all of the functionality. John, is there a way when thinking about your roadmap, now hearing about how you can give them a part of it and not the full solution? Are there ways you thinking about how you can give them a taste of it, or a way you can kind of reshape that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of my lead magnet that I use for my website and the email generations. But what I just did, and I'm just putting the final touches on it, is a short 10-minute video that's actually explaining to them what is actually a mind map and how is it beneficial to their life kind of deal, which kind of opens them up to mind mapping and mappineering and things of that nature. But I really kind of end that video with that call of action to take that next step. Now that you kind of understand its power and how it can affect you powerfully in so many different ways in your life, let me guide you to really maximize it into your life in a tangible way is pretty much what that video is, which is going to eventually be my primary lead magnet. That's just something I just had on my website some time ago. But I totally hear what Ron is talking about, and it makes all the sense in the world. And yeah, my noodles are spinning on how I can make some more modifications on some things for sure.
Thanks, John. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing that. And yeah, I think it's a process for sure. We didn't start out having it all figured out. It's definitely a process of really pulling apart the final offer and thinking through every little step and how you solve the next part of that. AJ, do you want to talk through oh, hey, Ron, welcome back.
Oh, go ahead, AJ.
AJ, do you want to
Oh
share your
no,
product as well?
I was just gonna share what Ron always talked to me, but he back here, so he can say it.
Oh no, I don't know what you was gonna say. I wasn't here. Go ahead.
Oh no, it's just that I mean, when we start, like Ron talks to me all the time about this, so he always talks to me about getting people quick wins. So anything that I'm putting out has to give them a quick win. But I think the one thing that he's taught me that's been beneficial is for every problem you solve, you're probably creating 3 to 5 more problems. But I need to know what those problems are before I solve it. So once I solve this problem, I need to know the 3 to 4 other problems that I'm creating so then that I can benefit from them. So, but it has to be a quick win. Like, how can I get them the quickest win possible, but then understand the problems I'm creating right after it?
Yeah. And let me give you a great example. One of the best examples is weight loss, right? The easiest way to lose weight is just to eat less and move more. You don't even need a gym membership. You can do calisthenics and be in great shape, right? But because people need to break the habits of being at home, they pay for a gym, right? And when they get to the gym, if they're really not sure what to do, they pay for a trainer, right? You see how every level helps you to get a bit further, but it gets more expensive, right? And then once they get a trainer, if that ain't going fast enough, they go in for surgery. And the surgery is 1,000 times more expensive, but you only hurt for 2 weeks. Where if you go to the gym, you're gonna be hurting for the next 6 months until you lose all the weight. But you go $10,000, come down here to Columbia, you can get a new body for 10 grand. I could show up looking like me and walk out looking like Ange. Okay. Right. Have my hair, change my face. They'll give me a whole new BBL, whatever. They'll make me taller. I'll get a knee BL.
Not as cute though. Not as cute.
Hey, man, I done seen some magic happen down here in Columbia. You never know nowadays. So they'll give me a knee BL. So I go from 5'5" to 6'3" like Edge. They'll, but I can skip all the processes, right? Now, that's what I'm talking about when you introduce that one thing. Somebody's willing to pay you that high price thing to skip all the BS. They're willing to say, no, I just want John to come. I'm not going to buy John's book. I'm going to bring John in and talk to my employees for $3 grand or $5 grand. I'm going to have them come do a workshop instead of me trying to buy the $13 book and teach out of the book. Even though reading the book is going to take longer, it's going to be cheaper, but I don't get all of my employees baptized into what John believes right off the bat. Does that make sense? So I'm glad AJ brought that up. Is if you, like I mentioned, if you don't know where they're starting from and where they're trying to go, you don't know which problems you even need to solve along the way. And what you got to do is map all of that out. You got to write it down. Okay, when they come to the webpage, what are they going to do? They're going to see this. When they come to this, what are they going to do? Now, we don't just talk this around here. We live it. So I'm going to show you what my team does. We have somebody on our team, and this is her only job, is to map out all of our processes. And she does this in an amazing, amazing, amazing way, right? And we have a lot of these, but I'll show you one of them, right? Because the things that we end up doing with you guys isn't by mistake. We've mapped out everything. I'm talking about every single interaction you will have with the app, what the pricing is going to be, how you're going to sign up. We've mapped all of this out. No, I mean, like, it's detailed too. Like, hey, here's what you're gonna see. First name, last name. Like, we ain't just saying fill out a form. We're going all the way into everything you're gonna see. And if you signed up for anything, you see we have these same fields. Now, do you have to get this granular? No, we weren't always this granular. But when we figured out we needed to be, we became that. But we started with here's step one, here's step two, here's step three. Does that make sense? So yours may just look like sign up, enter their information, find out what they talk about, what's their speaking topics, how available are they, what notifications should they get, right? You just may have these steps. They're lost. They do step one of my process. Then John has his 8 steps. And then after they do these 8, they're going to need this. And here's how they can enter step one. They may be able to get a PDF. They may be able to listen to me talk about it on a podcast. They may be able to do that part of the video course. But is this making sense? Because this is how you solve the problem for the person. You have to understand the problems of the people. That's why the one-to-one individual meetings are so important, because a lot of us are just guessing at what we're doing for people, right? I mean, this thing is infinite. It just keeps going. And we got a gang of them. I mean, we got it for your speaker page. We got it for the old SpeakerHUB. We map this out for everything that we think about with you guys. Again, we're not going to teach something we're not living. Does this make sense? So a lot of people will tell you, well, you got to map out everything. Ask them for their map. Right? They ain't doing it. But you want to know the process. Go ahead, Michelle. And then John.
What is the program that you use to map out everything?
Maria? I have no clue. Maria, what are y'all using? Figma?
Hey guys,
There's a
how are
few of
you?
them.
Yeah, that's Figma, but it's the another tool that they have is called FigJam.
Fig
Within
Jam
Figma.
inside of
Yeah.
Figma. There's another one called Miro also. We used to use Miro before we became fancy. Miro was our first version of this. They probably still charging me for this too. Maria, can you check to see if I'm still paying, if we still are paying for Miro? Right? So this is a Miro board that another company uses, and this is how they map out all of their ads. This is a company called Seventh Level with Jeremy Miner. But this is something that he gave away, his map of how he run ads. So this isn't something unique to SpeakerHUB. This is what the best of the best are doing, because we need to understand our customers. Because watch this, John. Let's go to John. But Miro, that's one, Michelle, and then Figma. John.
Thank you.
Yo,
What position did you play when you played professional football?
cornerback.
Cornerback, right?
Mhm.
So did the receivers have counters to how you were playing them?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And did you have to know what all the potential counters are if you're playing bump, like what is it? You playing bump off the line, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple counters to that. What are the counters?
Jab steps, hand swipes, the way they release off the line, motion.
Right.
Yeah.
No, you see how he has to know all of these things are the potentials so that he's not caught by surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Why don't we apply that to business sometimes? We're just wondering. I help these people. Well, what are they dealing with? Well, I think you're dead. You're going to lose to the person who knows.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? You're going to lose to the person who knows that answer. Why? Because you ever had somebody you talk to and say, man, you really understand me. Yeah, because I work with 1,000 of y'all. I done talked to 1,000 of y'all about the same problem. I better understand it. So you got to have the notes of understanding, okay, when I solve this problem, they're going to run into this problem. So we give them the leads. What are they going to run into? Well, now they need to be able to search through it. Cool. We let them upload them to SpeakerHUB Pro. Well, guess what the next problem is? What do I say?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So what do we give them? A basic version at first of a template. Well, then what's the problem with that? Well, everybody's sending the same template. Right? So what do? We gave them AI. Do you see what I mean? So you see how one thing, by giving them leads, now they need all this other stuff. Well, then now I sent the email. How do I mark it as I got booked? How do I put in notes that I need to follow with them down the road? You see how if we don't think through all of these things with our customers, how do we know what problem they're willing to pay to make go away? I thought that people were buying leads. So I used to have a thing called Gigs Weekly, and we would send you an email every week with speaking gigs in it. And then we did another thing. We're like, well, we could just sell them a list of leads. That wasn't what they really wanted to pay for. Our problem was two things for speakers, and I'll tell you for business owners. For speakers, the problem we were solving was, I'm tired of Google searching. I don't want to be Googling and making these spreadsheets. So if you solve that, I'm willing to pay to make that pain go away. But now that we solved that, what was the next pain and the one that people pay more for? I want to actually grow a business using speaking, because I'm pitching now, but I'm getting a bunch of free gigs. How do I turn these free gigs into paid ones? Once I realized that was the more profitable, more universal problem that every entrepreneur wants to solve, every founder, if I said, hey, if I offered you $5,000 to come talk about your business for an hour and help people, would you show up? Every founder of any company in the US that's not Fortune 500 would come and do that talk, right? But that's what we're offering. But if we limit it to just, if we say we only work with speakers, well, look, my profile don't say I'm a speaker, but I'll show up and talk for $5,000. I promise you, I'll show up and talk for 500 if I ain't got to go that far. Do you see what I mean? So if we understand our people and how we talk to them and what problem they're willing to pay to make go away, that's why that question is there. Then it's so much easier to give them the stuff ahead of time that gets them right up to the point where they want to pay to make that thing go away. Does that make sense? You know why massage places will never close? Because I can massage my own hand. I can't massage my own back. Right? You can't fix your back. You could try. You're gonna hurt your back more trying to fix your back. Right? So if I was Jadika, I would at the beginning only show all the pains that could be relieved by the back. That way they gotta come into me so I can actually pitch their back in the right part. Is that making sense?
Yeah.
John, go ahead.
Are there preferred lead magnets for certain situations? I mean, should you have different lead magnets for a podcast versus the stage versus, or I mean,
Well, I think so. Yeah, you asked a very great question. Yes. Here's the thing. Can you see my screen in a second? Let me see. Can you see my screen here? Right?
Yeah.
Right? So we talk about this all the time. Every hook is a lead magnet. That's how you got them in. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So let's go back to church. That's the easy one that everybody knows, right? If I was having problems in my marriage, what they gonna say? Come to church. That was a hook. If your wife is planning to leave you, you need Jesus. Boom. They tell you Jesus died for your sins and you pray he can bring your wife back. If you're having grief because something happened to a family member, if you lost a family member and you haven't found a way to get over it, come to church. We'll show you that you can go to heaven if something were to happen to you. They bring you right back in. Jesus died for your sins. No matter what the hook is, they bring you back to the same story. But the hook is what brings you in. So for SpeakerHUB, I'll give you a bunch of hooks. I'm an accountant, and I haven't been able to successfully run Facebook ads. An accountant's guide to using podcasting as a way to get clients. That would be my lead magnet. I'm a fractional CFO. I can't explain what I do in 30 seconds, and my clients are not on Facebook. a CFO's guide to getting clients by doing lunch and learns with associations. Do you see what I mean? So you have these different hooks.
So should you have a lead magnet for each hook?
Yep. So that's what we talked about. When you go on a podcast, you don't know where that podcast is going to go because you don't know the questions, right? So we covered this last week. You don't know the questions, but you got something that nobody else has. You got a week before that podcast comes out. So you know what you talked about a week before it came out, and you said, I'm going to put the link in the description. If you leave me a review, I'm going to give you my checklist to solve this problem. My 5 ways to get rid of anxiety in 5 days or in 5 minutes. My 5-minute anxiety relief checklist, right? Step number 1, be grateful. Step number 2, be even more grateful. Step number 3, be even more grateful. Step number 4, it could be worse, so be grateful. Step number 5, it wasn't that bad, was it? Anxiety gone. Right? Ron's 5-second anxiety relief program, right there. Right? Now, I'm being facetious, of course, but you get the point that when you have a gig or a podcast, you know what you can prepare because on the podcast, you've already been on it. So you can prepare the thing afterwards. At a speaking gig, you know what they want you to talk about. So you can prepare the thing before. Is this fair, guys? So you got to know what your hooks are, but it all leads back to the same story. That 6 years ago, I was running an agency and I was getting people booked. And I realized that the people that was getting booked the most were the people who proactively pitched and they learned to turn free speaking gigs into profitable ones. Why? Because they removed the barrier for them coming to speak, but they also didn't wait on someone to come get them. Right? Y'all heard that story 1,000 times. No matter what hook somebody come in here with, I go into the same speaker flywheel story.
So Ron,
Does
what
that
would
answer your question, John?
Yeah, how would you just flat out define a lead magnet? I mean, what is it and what's just the raw purpose of it?
So a lead magnet is something that you give someone in exchange for their email address.
Okay.
It's something that attracts them to give you their email address to stay in contact with them. Now, there are different types of things. For some people, it's a free trial. When you go to Subway or someplace, it's a loyalty program at Starbucks. The airlines use loyalty programs. That's how they generate the lead. When you go to Starbucks, they don't know who you are, but they say, you want a Starbucks card? You want to get Starbucks points? Boom. Why? The lead magnet is the card that may give you a discount on every 100 drinks you buy, they give you one.
So essentially, it's a mechanism of a way that you can stay in touch with them after that initial meeting.
Yeah, it's a lead magnet. It's something that attracts leads. Right? It's something that attracts leads. Why? Because remember, there are different stages of leads. Let me go back, right? Let me open up my drive here. 1 second. Drive. And last week we talked about leads. Lead types, right? Right? So when you're on a podcast, John, you're dealing with people you don't know. Those are cold. Does that make sense? Once they've listened to you on the podcast, they become lukewarm because you've talked to them for 30 minutes in that podcast interview. Once they opt in, they become a suspect. You see what I mean? Once they give you their email, this is a person that you suspect may be able to buy from you in the future. Once you talk to them, they become, or you make them fill out a survey, they become a qualified suspect. Once they meet the qualifications, they become a prospect. Once you go through the sales call with them, they become a qualified prospect. And when you offer for them to buy, they become a sales qualified lead. Whether they buy or not is up to you, but they've made it through the funnel. All leads are not created equal. But if we're not knowing where our leads are, we'll never get to this point if our lead magnets or the way that we generate leads aren't moving people through the cycle. So let me give you a great example. When you go on LinkedIn and you go to need a speaker, be a speaker, right? This is our group. What level of lead are these people in that group?
Warm.
All right, let's say that they're warm, right? Why are they warm?
Because they know you. They've qualified themselves that they're interested in what you're talking about to join the group. You have direct contact with them, and you're in a good position to develop a relationship with them.
Okay.
Or
So
just,
here's what I would say. Personally, I would say that they were cold. Because even though they're in a group, it's 55,000 of them. If you ask all of them if they know Ron, they all don't know me. Does that make sense? So they're still cold. They just came in off the street, right? But they're cold, but at least they qualified. Do you see what I mean? Like
Okay.
they're cold and I know that they're at least a speaker or an organizer. Does that make sense, John?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So they're cold because I don't know them, but I know that they are either a qualified suspect or a prospect.
Makes sense.
Now, when I invite them to come to this call, that's when they become warm. When they show up here, they're warm at that point. Because what do I know? If they come twice, I got them. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is why you got to know the steps of where your people are so that you know when you bring them in from a certain area, what they're going to go through. What should it look like so if I don't know, speakers don't like doing outreach. Most speakers that are traditional speakers want to be hired to speak. They treat it like a job. They're used to being the smartest person in the room. They don't like rejection. It's hard for them to do outreach. We know that psychographic. But then when we looked at the ones who were willing to do outreach, they were the entrepreneurs. They had done some type of sales before. This wasn't the first time they talked to strangers, right? They had another product to sell. Speaking was just an easy way for them to make some money now while they're trying to figure out their coaching and all their other stuff. Does that sound right?
Mm-hmm.
Most speakers don't make a lot from speaking. They make it from something else. Speaking is part-time, but they're coaching, they're consulting, they're running another business on the side. And speaking has been they did a speech last year and they got 5 leads from it. They want to do more, right? I have to understand that. So that I'm not talking down or talking up. If I'm talking up, they're going to leave because it's too amateur. If I'm talking down, I'm too arrogant. Is this making sense? So I got to know who I can kind of push a little bit. See, I know something about Bonnie because I know who she came from, right? I know who referred Bonnie to me, so I know how much I can lean on her a little bit more than I could maybe be able to lean on someone else who's here for the first time. Kevin's been with us for 4 years. I know what I can say to Kevin. He ain't gonna never be offended unless I say something that's way off the wall, which I would never say in the first place. Do you see what I mean? So I know that Denise has done other speaker programs before. So I know what I can talk to her about and what her thoughts are on certain things. I know where she stands with my religious rhetoric and how I can go into that because most of us have some experience with the church in the past. We got to know this, guys. Right? It's the cheat code. It's the prism that we talked about at the beginning. Right? Is this fair? Is this making sense?
Mm-hmm.
So we're 2 minutes in overtime, but it's important that we understand where our people are on that roadmap. Because when we get up in front of that audience and we can talk about something that they're experiencing that nobody else has discovered, they're like, man, you really understand this. Right? Dude, what you said was right on. Everybody's had somebody, man, what you said was spot on. Yeah, because you confessed something publicly that everybody else hid. You're the first person willing to talk about it. Bonnie?
Thanks. Just going back to the lead magnets for podcast,
Yep.
should we add our speaker QR on that lead magnet for people to respond to that? Or I have a lead magnet with some things that leads to my speaker page and leads to
Hello.
my twice a month online thing, and to Calendly to set up a call, but I just don't know if I should add the speaker QR to that.
Well, the link to the speaker QR is going to be in the show notes of the podcast.
Oh, give it to that person
Yeah,
that way.
you're
for
giving them the
show note.
link, not the QR code, but the link,
Okay.
right? That's the link for them to download whatever you're offering.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So when you create your QR, it allows you to download the QR photo, but it also gives you the link. It says copy link.
So the link, yeah, okay. So the link goes to the podcast host.
Yep. Let me show you. Again,
Okay.
we're going to walk it like we talking over here.
All right.
Right. So if you Ron Story, Pam Perry, look what's right here. My SpeakerHUB QR code. You see it right there?
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Yep.
You see that? So just, so I offered them a trial.
Okay.
In this case, that was my lead magnet, was a trial, because I know the people who are watching her show. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So that's what you want to do. You want to figure out, like, okay, if this is the host knows their audience better than you. That's why you want to let the host lead the conversation, because they're trying to make sure that they're appeasing their audience. And then you just go along with it. And you help.
Yep.
Now, here's the cool thing. If you know the answer to something, but you don't have something prepared, give them the answer and prepare the thing afterwards.
Yeah. That makes sense. Can I show you something generic? Will you take a look at?
Sure. Well,
So-
let me answer Lawrence's question while you bring that up. Lawrence, really quick, 30 seconds.
Okay, so regarding the problem part, I realized that my lead magnet, it's a PDF document I've made of my best steps, my best advice. Here is the information, but it doesn't break it down in a clear, explained way. So the problem is, now you got the information. I've told you what to do, but I didn't explain how to do. Would that be a good problem to cause?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a firm believer that in any service business, you're selling what and why. I mean, you're giving away what and why, but you sell the how.
Yeah, like it's the PDF is what? Like it's the information. It doesn't tell you.
But here's
how
the
to
problem. Let me caution you all with these long lead magnets. I need a solution now.
No.
Right? You got to find something that they can do now and they can see the effects right now. I'll show you how we do it in the app. We call it aha moments. Do you know why we show you a framework when someone goes into SpeakerHUB Pro? Why we show them a framework and a bio in the onboarding? Because we need an aha moment right off the bat in the first 20 seconds of interacting with the app. If you see, wait, their AI, I didn't even put anything in, and in 20 seconds, they wrote a bio on me. Holy crap. And then they gave me 3 speeches. Oh my God, this thing is incredible. What happens if I keep using it? You see how that aha moment is the first impression right off the bat. You know how many times when I show that to people, they say, oh man, y'all found this on me already? This is good. Can I copy that? And then they said, man, those are 3 speeches. I didn't think about it. It is only 3 speeches. You gave me, let me get those 3 copies. Can you email me that? Because that's the aha moment. It gives them a result right away that they were unexpecting. Most people don't believe that they can make anxiety go away in 5 to 15 seconds. Right? But if Bonnie had a placebo process that they believed in that made it go away, then they say, man, I do feel better after doing this. Like, you know, like I'll give you one of the best ones. Y'all seen this before, and then we'll come back to you, Bonnie, really quickly. Let me just share this. Y'all seen this. This dude mastered this. We all seen this. And it's placebo, but it's to build confidence. It's to help them to overcome a false barrier that they already had. You think he would really risk millions of dollars of somebody actually getting burned walking across this daggone thing? Ain't nobody doing that. Here's another one. These boards fake as a mug. They bamboo. Anybody can break these things. That's how the 6-year-old does it. And you done had your 6-year-old punch you as hard as he could, and it couldn't make you flinch, but he could break a 2x4. Yeah, okay. Get up out of here. It's to build confidence. Right? We've all seen it. It's like, yo, wait a minute. This is to build confidence. Here's another one. The fajitas at Chili's. You order the fajitas at Chili's, it's got smoke and steam, and you hear it sizzling all the way out the kitchen. You think that daggone thing was cooked on there. It wasn't. I used to work there. It wasn't cooked on there. You know what they do? They cook the chicken just like everything else. And they put all that stuff on the plate. And it ain't even sizzling. It's hot, but it wasn't cooked on that plate. That plate was just, they keep them on the stove all day. You know what they do? You see this little thing right there? It's called a lemon. They got a bucket of lemons by the door. And your server grabbed that same lemon that's on that thing, squeeze it on there to make it sizzle, and walk out the door with it. It's a wood break. It's to build confidence that this must be more delicious. You hear it sizzling, that joint. No, that is just the lemon juice sizzling against the oil that's in the bottom of that thing. Is this making sense? I'm sorry for messing up the magic trick. Right? But we think like, oh, no. We have to do certain things to get people to believe. That's part of everything. Whether it's Nike. You know how many kids bought Michael Jordans because they thought they could shoot better basketball? I need my Jordans. If I had my Jordans on, you wouldn't beat me. Yeah, get out of here. My kid think he can run fast because his shoes got lights in it. He ain't doing nothing. But it's what he needs to feel better about himself. To take the next step, to have confidence in the next thing. Does that make sense? We can write you the best bio and give you the best 3 speech topics. If you got a speech impediment and you don't have some way to excuse that, you ain't getting booked. It don't matter how much stuff we do. We give you all the confidence in the world. You still got to have the goods, right? But we can give you the confidence that we can help you if you have the goods. So Bonnie, you want to go ahead and share? But is this making sense, guys? Why you got to You got to get someone a result right off the bat. It can't be read my book. Well, watch this. Cardis, what's the last book you read?
Retire Young, Grow Rich.
What was it?
Retire Young, Grow Rich.
Is that okay? Cool. Is that by Ramit Sethi? Who's that?
No, that's Robert Kiyosaki.
Okay, Robert Kiyosaki. Okay, right. Did you read it all in one day?
No, not at all.
Yeah. Okay. No, but that's why I bring this up. We give away these lead magazines that take a week to digest. So now you give me 20 pages to read. I ain't reading that. I'm gonna read the first few pages. Then my daughter gonna come in here, and now I gotta go play with Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse in the other room. And then Anne's gonna call me, and then I got another fire to put out with the company, and I ain't going back to that. So how can I get confidence in what you provide if it's gonna take me a week to experience it?
Right. Yep. Keep it simple.
Is this making sense, guys? Right? So the value doesn't come from making it harder. The value comes from showing them how hard it is without you.
That's right.
You see the difference? We make it harder for them to engage with us. No, don't do that. Show them how hard it's going to be without you. You know?
Yeah.
I love when my exes be following me on Instagram because I can see all the stories they watching. They get to see how hard it is without me, baby. I'm just saying, you know? Bonnie, you want to go ahead and share your thing?
You may be 5'6", but your ego's a lot bigger than that, sir.
Hey, I did the work. I
Love
got the
it.
results to speak
That's
for it.
right. You've done the work. Oh my, and you ruined my fajita fantasy, I gotta say. Okay.
Hey,
Oh.
that's only at Chili's. It's still the same at Applebee's and all the restaurants. I'm just
Yeah.
destroying what happens at Chili's.
Whatever. Okay, hold on. Here it is. All right, so maybe I got this one right because you want it to be simple. I'm dealing with people who have anxiety, right? Who want to feel better, who are stressed out. So on podcasts, I share this, and it has 5 things that I do myself every day and a little quick explanation about how to do that. To move, how to hydrate, a breathing practice, gratitude, and using imagination for wildlife imagery. And I added, this is what I'm curious about. So I added, here's a discovery call. Click on my Calendly.
Okay.
A little bit about me and the book, and I add my SpeakerHUB website.
So,
and then
so if I follow those things, do I need you anymore?
shit, yeah.
Why?
Because that's not going to solve everything. That's going to get you started on starting to ground yourself. But how do you learn to manage yourself every day from here out? How do you deal with people at work? How do you deal with your relationships? That's all the stuff that comes afterwards.
Okay. So go to scoreapp.com.
Score app?
Scoreapp.com. So I think with things like what you're dealing with, what you're offering, it's people would pay for, people, a good lead magnet, people are curious about like what type of anxious person am I, right? So am I the thumb twiddler? Am I the sweaty palmer? Am I the nervous wreck or whatever? You come up with these labels, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, like archetype.
So once I know that I'm the nervous wreck person, cool. Now I need to meet with Bonnie because she's gonna give me the solution for the nervous wreck people. You see how I just called out the problem, and they're like, "Yeah, that is me."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, why do I say that? Because everybody's heard the commercial at night. Have you ever had back pain and eye pain and tongue pain and fingernail pain? If you do, you may have mesothelioma. You're like, wait, everybody that had back pain, we've all had one of these things, but they got to label me with something for me to admit it.
Yeah.
Right. And then, well, if you may have mesothelioma, call Dewey Beat 'em and Cheatham law firm.
Yeah, that's terrible. That's
you get
terrible how they
Dewey
do that.
Beat 'em and Cheatham, right?
Oh my God.
You call that law firm, and then they're gonna tell you whether you got mesothelioma or not, right? So you sometimes you have diagnosis is a way to. That's a great lead magnet, right? So I'll show you an example of this. Go to Speaker Score, not Speaker Score. What do we call it? Speakerstatus.com. Open that up.
Speakerstatus.com.
Yep, speakerstatus.com.
And I don't know about
You
labeling.
forgot a T. You forgot a T.
Oh yeah, thank you. There's a lot of that going on around here, isn't it? Okay.
Right.
Oh, come on now. Ugh, Mike Johnson, get away
No,
from me.
no, there it is. There it is, right?
Okay, it's coming.
So,
Here we go.
yep, it's already open. Go to, but your thing is covering half the page. There we go. Right. So go back up. So what do? We're going to diagnose you. We're going to tell you what level of speaker you are. Right. And then once we diagnose you on the other side, we show you a scorecard that tells you how to fix your problems using SpeakerHUB's tools.
Mhm.
We've done thousands of these. Because everybody curious. What I know I'm experienced. Let me see what they say. Man, they said I was emerging. Man, this thing broke. Right? Does this make sense?
Mhm.
So this is a great lead magnet. We've done thousands of these because people are curious about where they stand.
Yeah.
So you know what the basic thing is? If you're experienced, guess what we're going to tell you? Here's how you can use SpeakerHUB to get to expert.
Right.
If you're exploring, we're going to show you. Here's how you want to get to the next level? Let me show you. Let me show you.
Yep. Yep.
Is this helpful, guys?
So back to I'm thinking, oh, people would think about labels, the nervous wreck, the overreactor, the exploding grenade, the hidey holer, humorous ways of looking at different manifestations, not types, manifestations of anxiety. But so if you're a hidey holer, how to help you come forth. If you're an overreactor, how to help calm your response. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, I mean, what I'm saying is by placing a label on them, it allows them to have a reason to meet with you.
Mm. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. And it adds a little humor, potentially, which is always good in my world.
Oh yeah. I mean, again, they know who they are. We know we all, everybody has some form of anxiety.
Yep.
Nobody is minus of anxiety. Everybody has it. It just depends on if we want to talk about it or not.
Yes. Right.
Right. So the labels fit. We know I do that sometimes. Yeah, that's me. Yep, that's me. You got me. Right. So here, let me show you what we do here. I'll give you an example. Right. So this is how we do it. One of the ways. So I fill out this thing, it gives me a bunch of answers, gives me a score. Right. But then it diagnoses me. I ain't got time to wait on that. Right. So it says, Ron, you are an emerging speaker. Current level is emerging. Well, what does that mean? We define it. Well, what areas do you need to level up? But then guess what we show them? Well, what do you need to do? You need to nurture your existing leads and expand your pipeline. How can you do that? upload your leads into Speaker CRM, and you expand your pipeline with Speaker data. You see how this diagnosis opened up a whole bunch of other problems for them?
Yeah, I see that now.
Right? Well, what else I need to do? I need to enhance my credibility and authority. Position yourself as a thought leader. Start publishing articles. Be a guest on podcasts. Host webinars. Elevate your visual brand. Make sure you got professional photos and stuff. Well, how do you do that? Well, you can fix your speaker page. Put some new photos up there. Make it look better. Use Speaker GPT to generate new thought leader pieces. We give you the 5 in the frameworks. We give you the 5 products you should create. Is this making sense, Carter's? Oh, I didn't know if he was there. My bad. Chantel, is this helpful? Janika, we on the right page? But you see how if you don't understand all of the things, if we didn't do those surveys to ask all those questions, right? If I didn't know, if I didn't have the answers to these questions, this teaches me what I should be talking to my folks about. Make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
So in the last few minutes here, I want to, can we stop the recording for a minute? Hey guys, this was great. I'll see you all later. See y'all tomorrow. Okay. Because I want to get you all's opinion about something.